Bum's just fart.
Can I sit there? She farted?
Yeah.
Of course she did.
Hey Billy. What are we doing?
It's in a video. Yeah. There's your head out the window. Yeah.
Do you want to do a Q&A? Yeah.
Who's your favourite rider? Me. Your only rider. Oh, baby. We are having the day from hell.
Hi guys, welcome to our Q&A.
Welcome to our barn. We tried to film this last night in the apartment, and the weather's so miserable in England at the minute that there's just no light, and so it was really dark.
And the SD card ran out halfway through, so
Yeah.
it's just like one of them things it wasn't meant to be, was
Yeah,
it?
so we packed it in, and here we are again today. But we're also not having much luck today. The weather in England at the minute is atrocious. It's heaving it down with rain. And so all our fields are flooded. So all the horses that were out last night, we had to bring them in this morning. We actually were one stable short, so we've had to turn our cross ties into
Makeshift stable.
a makeshift stable just for the day while it stops raining. And then the muck heap hasn't been able to be emptied because the battery on the tractor's died, so we haven't been able to muck all the horses out. So it's just been one of them days where it feels like everything's gone against us. And
no staff as well.
no Annie today, so it's just us. So it's just been a really slow day. So we thought, let's be productive. Royal Mail's arrived. And film our Q&A that we asked you guys to leave us some questions for a few days ago. So that's what we're going to do. Got
What
the
have we got?
questions on my phone.
You really
I feel like I haven't print screened them all. Whoa! The aggression.
Belinsky, behave yourself.
Okay, let's start with an easy one just to ease us into it. I'm going to be really cheeky.
Yeah.
And the first question's going to be non-horse related.
Oh, okay.
How are you both feeling about the wedding date getting closer?
Super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait now. It's it felt like forever ago when we got it all organised, and got it all organised, but like found the venue and
Pop the question.
since the engagement, it feels like forever ago. But stop trying to bite me. But I have to say, like, it's like suddenly coming around really fast.
Yeah, so we're getting married in December, winter wedding. And yeah, you proposed May last year?
No.
Yeah, last year.
May last year.
May last year in Paris. Well, I nearly lost my fingers. And we, I got my dress sorted really quickly, and we got the food sorted quickly, didn't we? And the cake, and then now it's just like the final details of your suit and
wedding bands, stuff
wedding
like that.
bands. And we were thinking, would you guys want to see a bit of the process behind the wedding and organising it, because we've got all that coming up, so we can vlog it for you if you would be interested in seeing wedding content.
Yeah.
But if
And the wedding itself as well. Hopefully.
Yeah, we've got a videographer that's going to capture the whole day for us, so we'll be able to share that with you guys. But yeah, let us know if you want to see any wedding content, because I don't know if just seeing horse stuff can get a bit monotonous or not. But yeah, so we're both really excited, aren't we, for the wedding?
Definitely. Can't wait.
Everyone's got their
only 2 months
invites.
for us to change our mind, so we're nearly there.
Judging by this morning. Just kidding. Yeah, we're both really excited.
Can you not point me, please? You naughty.
Okay. Loved in the last videos you reviewed / rationalised how you ride or how your test went. How do you do it?
Wow. Well, years and years of riding tests that have gone well or gone bad or gone all kinds of ways, really. And I think you just kind of, you have to learn to find the good and the bad in what you've done. And I think it's really easy, and I still suffer with this myself, and I know you do. Like when I come out of the test, it's like all you can feel, all you think about is the bits that weren't good enough.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to be negative.
Yeah.
And actually, and coaching has helped me with that, because I have to kind of help people rationalise and talk about how their tests have gone, and making people do that has made my inner talk better.
Yeah.
And regardless of how the results have gone, the first thing that you have to work out is actually whether you were happy with the feeling. Stop. Whether you were happy with your feeling. Because if you're not happy with your feeling, that's really more important than what any judge said. If you go into your test and you feel like you can ride and make adjustments, that's the best feeling in the world. And because then if the judge doesn't give you a great mark, you can look at why and you can change it. Yeah.
One thing that I would say that we do that I find so helpful, especially when it comes to reviewing and rationalising, is we video everything, don't we?
Yeah.
So if you just always have someone there to video your test, sometimes you go through your test and you feel like it didn't go very well, or you didn't have a nice ride, but then kind of what happened to you at the Nationals, you watch the video back and you're like, oh, actually my horse went really well, and it was just like the feeling that I didn't like, but the horse looked really nice.
It wasn't necessarily that I didn't like the feeling. I was at the Nationals, we were very busy, and I was riding horses that I don't know that well, that I've only ridden for a few months in a high stress situation, so I had a lot of negative inner talk that I was suffering with, and when I was riding, that wasn't good enough, that I wasn't doing a good enough job, all of those demons that I think everybody probably gets a little bit from time to time. And although I wasn't actually displeased with any of my tests really, but I'd come away from it feeling really negative, and having done the vlog for you guys, actually, when we went back through and we were doing the editing and stuff and I was watching, it really turned it around for me. What was negative in my mind became positive, because I watched the test back and I thought, well, the horses definitely went as well as they could have done.
Yeah.
And of course there's things I can do better and things I can improve, but actually for where the horses are at in their training, they did really well, and they handled the competition really well, which is all you can ask for. So having that video, like you said, to go back to, definitely
just something
can really help.
Can watch over, and it's something we do or try to do when we ride every day, is just have at least one of the horses videoed, so we can watch it back, review it, see what we like, see what we don't like. So that's really helpful, I think. It's been
a game changer for you, really. We video Indy a lot, and I think your position has completely transformed in the last 12 months, and I think a lot of that, obviously it helps having someone on the floor, but a lot of that is you actually just self-critiquing, watching your video back and going, okay, I don't like how that bit looks, and just steadily working on it every day, isn't it? But if you don't watch yourself, it's really hard to be fully aware, because sometimes what you're feeling and what you're seeing don't always correlate. So you can feel like you're doing something, and then actually watch the video back and you're like, oh, I'm not. So work harder,
So video, really good way. Good question. Do you teach teenagers?
I teach anyone, really. In general, I don't teach many kids. I really love training people that want to be taught, and I know a lot of kids or teenagers do, but more often than not it's their parents' idea more than it is their own. And I feel like I enjoy it more when I feel like whoever I'm teaching is fully invested. But it's not that I wouldn't teach teenagers and kids and stuff. I would, but in general, I'm more adults, aren't I?
Training tips for young horses / how do you train your youngsters?
Wow. I mean, obviously every horse is different,
That's a
isn't
video
it?
in itself.
It's a video
it?
in itself.
Oh, we've crashed. Hello.
All the animals at once.
Hello.
But basically, all young horses are totally different. The biggest thing I will say is that getting a good routine is really important. So consistency. So the horse kind of understands what it is that's expected of it, and you know, having good balance to their life. You know, not being too isolated, living in a stable and just going to the school, being out in the field.
Yeah, hacking.
And really, as a rule, if you're riding a young horse, ride forwards.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, when they're nervous, have this tendency to want to go slow everywhere to feel more control. And if you've got a young horse that's full of energy, the best thing you can do is ride forwards, let it travel, and you'll feel that tension turn into a positive connection. And I think that's really like my kind of go-to.
Yeah.
Obviously, every horse is different, but yeah, in general, that would be that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we've got.
Stop trying to bite me.
What would you feed to a horse in hard work to give them more energy?
Well, it really depends on the horse. Yeah, I don't know.
Is there like a certain ingredient that you think that will give them more energy? Give them that.
Well, yeah, like if you want kind of some like disposable energy like added in for a set time, probably like an hour and a half before you exercise, like chuck a half scoop of oats in or something, and as on top of your normal feed. But to be honest, I don't really suffer with not having enough energy with my horses in general.
No.
So they just get fed their normal diet. You know, they're all on hay or haylage.
Yeah.
Alfalfa based feeds, and then with either Saracen's Relieve or conditioning cubes added in. We like to get a lot of oil into them.
Yeah, that was actually another question someone asked, what we feed our horses. So
the omega supplements we use are really great. They do a omega rice, which is kind of very high in oil, which is great for kind of adding condition if you need to. And they also do some great supplements, don't they? For
Babs is on the Agnes Castus, which is great for her hormones, and I really find that helps. And then just the Saracen's Relieve. We have the nuts.
Yeah. And anything else, if we want to get extra oil in, we feed the sugar beet with. It's a great source of fibre, and also you can add loads of oil into it, and they'll eat it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. India's birthday horse update video. And then someone else said, tell me how your first ride on Bonbon went. Was it dreamy? What are your goals? My first ride on Bonbon, for those of you who don't know, Henry gifted? I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, well, we definitely gave you the ride on my horse. No, she's our horse.
Yeah, for my birthday. And she recently had a foal, so we're slowly bringing her back into work and basically starting again with her. But my first ride on her couldn't have gone any better. At the minute, we're just doing it in the lunge pen. So that we can control the environment and just get her used to me as a new rider. She is a really, really sensitive horse and a hot horse. So I think it just works for both of us at the minute.
We're just keeping everything very controlled, aren't we? She's had like 18 months off virtually. So
yeah, we've basically like not backed her again, but gone through the whole process of like me gradually getting on her and hanging over her back and stuff. So it couldn't have gone better. She gave me a great ride. My goals with her, I mean, I have so many goals with her. I obviously want to get out and compete. I think I was a bit optimistic of when I thought I'd be able to get her out, as I really wanted to try and do the regionals with her. But judging now, I think we might not make it until the summer ones, which is fine because I don't want to rush her up.
Keeping an open mind. You never know, you might be ready, but it's just we will go when she is ready.
When
not
she's
before.
ready, but yeah, definitely have big goals in competing her, and she's a gorgeous horse to ride. She's really big moving, and she's a big horse. So very different to my other 2 rides, but she's going to teach me so much again as a rider, just because I have never really sat on a horse like that. So yeah, really exciting, and couldn't have gone any better, really, could it? Okay, let me just check, because we've both got a big question to answer, but I don't want to... looking forward to seeing what you thought, how well you did or didn't do at the Nationals.
Well, kind of.
You've kind of
I kind of touched on that, but it'd be interesting to hear how you felt your Nationals went.
Yeah, my Nationals couldn't have gone any better. It was my first time ever competing there. I took Babs, and she just gave me the nicest ride and the most positive first experience. She went into that ring and just took it all in her stride, didn't she? She gave me the best feeling I've ever had in the test, which I wasn't expecting, because she is the horse that kind of goes in on herself a bit in the ring, and so I thought, being at the Nationals, because there's so much more of an atmosphere, that she'd shrink even more, but she loved the whole thing. The warm-up felt amazing, the test felt amazing. I rode her, gave her a light exercise a couple evenings in the exercise arena, and she felt amazing to ride then. So test was really good. We got 70%. We had 2 mistakes. So she did break in the canter, which I think was just due to a loss of concentration. And then in our test, you go across the diagonal in canter and then trot after X. And I asked for trot, and she trotted, but then she picked the canter back up, and I think she just thought that because she'd broken before, that she wasn't meant to trot, which,
trying to be good, wasn't she?
Trying to be good, trying a bit too hard, but I mean, I'll take that any day. God loves a trier. And she was amazing. I'm so pleased with her. So pleased with our result as well, considering we did have the 2 blips. To come away with 70% at the Nationals is really
amazing.
Positive.
Yeah. I mean, God, if you'd been offered that as a result before you went, you'd have jumped at it, and let alone with 2 mistakes. The really nice thing for me watching it was just to see how far you'd come since the winters. It was a huge
everything we worked on at home.
At the winters, you were shell shocked, you were nervous, you lost your way.
The winter area festivals.
And then so that's only in April, and then from then to now, the transformation. You both looked so confident, and you could see that you were enjoying it in the warm up and stuff, and that really comes out in her confidence then as well. The 2 of you just look like this is where you belong.
I mean, it's true. Part of the reason why she probably goes a bit in on herself is you can probably feel that I'm not 100% confident, which I have to own up to that too as a rider, that if I'm not giving her the most confident feeling going into the test, she's gonna carry a little bit of what I'm carrying. But at the Nationals, it was the first time I've actually never had nerves going into a test, and I think that's why it felt so good for both of us. So couldn't have gone any better for me.
Great first experience of national champs.
You had so many tests. I know you've talked about it a little bit.
Well, I said that. Obviously, I suffered a bit with my kind of negative inner talk. But I have to say, I was really, really pleased with you, even though you keep trying to bite me, because he doesn't have much exposure. Sorry, this is Belinsky, if you don't know. He was very nervous about the other horses. And he had real moments of of genuine fear in the warm-up. And that came out when we took his bandages off, or his boots off, sorry. He wouldn't stand still, he was really nervous. but actually he went into the arena, and after a kind of sketchy first centre line, he just got better and better, and he gave me just the most amazing feeling. Are you going to bite me?
No, I'm distracting him so he doesn't. If I keep playing with his lip, he won't go for you.
You have had too much talking down there and paid me some attention.
So, whoa! You were really happy with him, weren't you?
Yeah, and the other horses as well, when I've watched them back, I was really happy with them. Of course there was things that could have done better, but for the relatively short amount of time I've been riding the other horses. The other thing is as well that was kind of weird is like 3 of those horses out of the 4 are all going home now.
Yeah.
So I knew that was my last show with all of them, apart from Belinsky. So it's kind of a weird headspace that you're in, because you're kind of like, well, this is it. You know, they're here for a short amount of time. And, so you kind of want everything to be perfect, and I think you end up putting yourself under a bit more pressure.
Yeah.
And,
but just get, I said to Henry, he three, is it 3? Yeah, 3 of the horses that he took to the Nationals, he's only had them for a few months, and so to get them to the Nationals is such an achievement.
Yeah.
You have to be so happy with that.
You do, and I think it's hard because obviously we all want to be competitive, don't we? And as a professional rider, you always feel like you should be.
That's the difference. When
you should be at the top of the class, and I wasn't.
Yeah,
not Belly was in the placings, but it was kind of It's just like going in there and trying to be realistic is quite hard. But I have to say, going back to that reflection thing and watching the videos, that's really, really helped me, and I feel dead positive again now. So
good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is the last question. I'll just check.
Someone did ask of me, but I forgot about how to pick young horses, or what we look for in young horses.
Oh, okay. That's a you question.
Well, it's also a you question. I mean, I think
safety.
What's good for one person isn't good for everyone.
Yeah.
And certainly for me, when I'm looking at young horses to buy or to train or whatever, if they're unridden, then I will look at the bloodlines more, and obviously, the movement and the mechanics basically of how they work through their body. I want a nice active hind leg, a swing through the body, and a nice temperament, one that likes people. That I think the temperament is everything. And obviously when you're then looking at ridden horses, it changes again. When I ride, if you can ride the horse that you're looking at, I go completely on the feel then. If I love the feel, then that's it, I'm sold. Because I know when you get that buzz when you're on top, you can make an average horse look spectacular, or an average mover look spectacular if they give you everything. So then it really is just down to that connection then. Sorry, I didn't know if you were wanting me to say something. Well, I don't know whether you should, because I think what you're looking for, what you would be looking for now compared to what you were looking for when you first bought Babs has totally changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, which kind of ties into one of the questions we got asked, is our background of riding. I mean, I could do a whole story on the whole thing. But now, obviously, and this is kind of what Bonbon has come in for to serve her purpose, because I have grown so much in my riding the past 2 years since buying Babs, now I'm kind of ready for something a bit more, but Bonbon's probably a little bit more than more, isn't she? She's a little bit more than what I would be ready for, which is why we're taking it slow. But when I bought Babs, I'd had a really bad experience buying a horse before her. And so when I bought Babs, it was really important that I had something that would give me confidence, that was sane and sensible, had a really sweet temperament. I bought her as a just backed 4-year-old. She was very green, but the fact that she, you know, I was green as grass, like I was greener than her as a rider, and the fact that she just kind of took me under her wing and, you know, didn't throw me anything to be worried that I needed to be worried about when I was riding her. She was an angel, so she was the perfect first horse, or second, but first horse for me, wasn't she?
Yeah. And I think since that, like now, you actually having ridden Raisin and sitting on Bonbon, I think we know that for you, something sensitive and hot is actually the right...
Something with an engine, but again, that doesn't scare me. That's the biggest thing. You know, I love Babs, but she doesn't have the engine. You have to create the power in her. Raisin has the engine. She's only 15.3, which is fine, but and she's Spanish, so Bonbon is then, you know, Raisin's engine, but she's a Dutch warm blood and she's 17 hands. So it's just finding the path. I don't know, like all three are so different, aren't they? That you know, on paper, if I looked for a horse now, I probably wouldn't pick any of those on paper.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. Well, and to be honest, whatever you think you're buying, when you get it home, it'll be different.
Yeah, I think don't go into something saying, you know, I need a black horse or a horse that's this colour, or a horse that's this height, or, you know, you kind of have to go into it really open-minded, don't you? Like,
you've got to find one that you can make a connection with.
Yeah.
And then you can cope with anything that they throw at you, anything that kind of, you know, that comes up when you're riding, dealing with or handling. Like with all young horses, stuff comes up.
Yeah, you just need to be able to enjoy the horse.
You've got to be flexible and willing to work with the horse, really, and that's the most important thing. Because they definitely like to throw curveballs at you, don't they?
Yeah, all the time.
And no horse is perfect, like as no rider is perfect. You know, we have to. We both have to figure each other out. Yeah,
and I think it's, you know, my advice moving forward is it because the battery's about to die?
That's good.
We probably need to wrap it up. My advice for anyone that is buying a young horse, especially if you've never bought a young horse before, is to definitely have a professional there with you that can help you and steer you in the right direction, because it's a minefield out there, and you just never really know what you're going to get. And you know, if you can have that person that, one, can help you make the buying choice, but two, that can also help you train the horse, then you both kind of know what you're getting and dealing with.
It's very easy to overhorse yourself, isn't it? And I think actually, you know, it's unless you're in a really, you know, supported professional setup, you're better to have something slightly less powerful or less talented, but easier if you're on your own. I think, and learn to get the most out of your horse, and only kind of progress onto something sharper or more athletic and what have you when you really feel ready for it. But even as a professional, you can sometimes have, you know, horses that make you a little bit nervous, and you have to kind of treat with caution. But anyway, so last question,
big question. How did you get into riding, like your background?
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I think you should go first.
Okay, so, well, I mean, I was really lucky to grow up on a riding school. My mum and dad had the riding school.
Radway riding school.
Yeah, Radway riding school, and so you know, horses were kind of like in the blood. It was the path that was laid out in front of me. I probably didn't really focus on dressage until I was about 14, 15. I was much like all-rounder, and you know, I like to go fast. That was basically it. I certainly wasn't a stylish rider. They used to call me the rave dancer. But
they used to pin your legs down. Strap his legs down.
Tie my feet to the stirrups, to the girth. But no, it was for me. Riding wasn't necessarily my first passion as a kid. I wasn't that fussed, which sounds awful, but you know, when something's there forever, you kind of take it for granted, and I think that was certainly me. and I rode because I kind of had to. And it wasn't really until I got into dressage at like 14, 15 that something in dressage just like ignited the passion. And I think it's kind of like that level of communication that you start to develop with your horse and stuff that it just got me. And from that point on, I knew that was what I was going to do. So, you know, as much as my teachers might have hated it at the time when I turned up to school, they asked if I had my homework, I was like, no, no, I'm going to be a rider. I was that awful kid, because I just knew. And yeah, I haven't done anything else since. Don't plan on doing anything else soon. No, yeah. So yeah, that's basically my background. Yeah. What about you?
I got into riding, I think, the same way most kids do. You know, your mum puts you on a horse at a riding school, and that became like my weekend hobby. I fell in love with the ponies. I used to actually ride, one of the riding school ponies was, I think she was Chestnut or Strawberry Roan. She was
My first pony was Strawberry Roan.
Yeah, she was called Candy. She was absolutely
Mine
gorgeous.
was called Sandy. Sandy Man.
Are you lying?
Oh, I swear to God, Sandy Man. And he used to humiliate me at Pony Club because he'd cough and fart at the same time.
Mine was a girl.
Sandy and Candy.
Yeah, she was called Candy, and she was my favourite one to ride. And so obviously that hobby stuck. My mum figured that she would buy me my first pony for Christmas. I had a little Welsh section B called Mango, and he was a little star. He was that pony that, you know, we'd go out showing and we'd eat it up. Like, we were coming home with all the red rosettes. He was just a little angel. We did the lead rein and first ridden, I think it's called. But yeah, so I started off in showing, and I did that till about the age of 15. But showing was always, I think my mum knew people that, oh God, the battery's flashing at me. I think my mum knew people in the showing, like were doing showing, and so that's why we went down that route. I was never like a jumper or into going fast or anything. And so, yeah, she was the one that wanted me to do showing, and I think at the age of 15, I had a very green 4-year-old Welsh Section B who was absolutely gorgeous, but I'd kind of got to that age at school where, you know, all your friends are going out at the weekend, and I was stuck riding my pony, and it just got to a point where it's too expensive for me to not be into it. So I stopped riding at the age of 15, which probably broke my mum's heart at the time, but I didn't realise. And then, yeah, it was in COVID again, during lockdown, when I kind of realised that I didn't have a hobby and that I needed something to do in my spare time. And so that's when I discovered dressage on YouTube. Fell in love with it. Like, I'd always heard about dressage, but it was just, if you don't really know it or don't know anyone that does it, it's back then when you didn't have, like, you know, your social media platforms, you just didn't know about it, and that was that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that looks nice, but how do you even?
Well, I just thought dressage, they wear white breeches and I wear yellow breeches, and that was the difference for me. But yeah, I discovered it on YouTube when I was, lockdown. What year was that? How old would I have been? Would I have been 25 maybe? Anyway, and yeah, so I decided then that I wanted my own horse. One thing that I will say that's really difficult, if you don't know someone that's got a horse or have access to one, it's very hard to sit on one. So I found another riding school, which was about 20 minutes away from me, and I thought, I'm just going to go like a few times and sit on these horses and see if it's a fad and if I get bored of it after a few times, or if I do actually, you know, want to be riding again. And I did. Like, you know, you're on horses that aren't particularly fun, go-y horses, but I just knew that I wanted to try riding again, so made the decision with my mum that I wanted to buy my own horse. And it was just, you know, when I look back, we were really naive, painfully naive.
I think this is kind of relatable for a lot of people out
Yeah,
there.
so, you know, when I had ponies, you know, you'd buy your little pony on HorseQuest or through word of mouth, and so we'd found this horse online on HorseQuest. Long story short, we went to go see it. It was sold privately, it wasn't from a dealer or anything, and you know, the people selling the horse knew how green I was, knew I was coming from ponies to a horse, knew that I hadn't ridden since the age of 15, knew that dressage was all new to, basically everything was brand new to me, and that I was starting from the bottom, and that I needed something that I could do on my own. And they knew all this, and they basically sold me a horse that really should never have been sold to me. You know, judging by everything that they knew, they could have easily said, look, this horse is not for you, and that would have been that, but they didn't. So they sold me this horse. You know, he was a gorgeous looking horse, and had a really kind temperament, but he just wasn't safe. Camera died.
What the heck? You just got sold a horse that you should never have been sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us more what happened.
What he did.
Well, just, you know, you went to see him, you bought him, got him home, and how quickly did you feel like you knew it was wrong?
The second ride is where it went all wrong.
Was it? Yeah. That quickly? He
bolted twice, and obviously it came off both times, and then my mum was just like, you're never sitting on that horse again.
So, you know, when you were on him, he bolted, you fell off.
Yeah.
And you got straight back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. So naturally I was like, you know, I don't want the ride to finish on that note, so I got back on, and he did it again. Both times just from walk. He wasn't speaking or anything, it was very just unprovoked, and yeah, I mean, that, you know, in hindsight, after we did our research and everything, we learnt very quickly that that is...
Well, it's so heartbreaking, isn't it? Because, you know, you haven't ridden for, you know, 10 years or so. And you come back to it, and you spent your whole savings to do it.
Yeah, I had no help, because obviously it was my decision wanting to buy a horse, and I had the money. And yeah, just like that, you know, it was all gone. And so obviously I had to sell him, so I ended up selling him to a professional.
Did you know right there and then that you know that you weren't going to continue with him, or did you and ah a bit with it?
I mean, it was heartbreaking because you know, I kept him for quite a few months afterwards, and you know, I was on DIY, so I was looking after him every day. I was at the yard 2 times a day, and he was such a sweet horse in the stable. Like, I fell in love with him in the stable, like just grooming him and just being with him, but I just could not ride him, and a huge part of me couldn't let that go, that I couldn't ride him. I kept wanting to.
Yeah, but you had no support. You weren't
support,
with a trainer. You were on your own.
And I couldn't.
Completely inexperienced with your first horse.
Yeah, and I didn't even have, like, you know, when I was doing ponies, my mum was there with me every day. And at that point in my life, me and my mum didn't live together. So, you know, I didn't even have her support every day at the yard. So it really just was me on my own, which again, in hindsight now, knowing what I know, not the right way to do things. But for me, it was just like there was no other way at that time for me to have a horse unless I just did it. And so, yeah, it basically just felt like my whole world had come crashing down, and that I couldn't do what I wanted to do, which was have a horse and ride and compete. And selling him was really hard because, you know, I had all my money, all my savings had gone. And when I sold him to the professional, you know, I sold him obviously at a loss. I didn't ask for much. And
Well, you're selling it at that point. You know, the horse doesn't have a massive value, does it? Because it's not suitable for an amateur.
Exactly.
And you have to sell it to a professional that knows what they're taking on and that can deal with it. And they're never going to pay you what you paid for it.
Yeah.
You're always going to take a loss, aren't you?
Yeah. And then
did you feel like giving up at that point? Were you
I
like
really didn't want to give up, but I just didn't know how I was going to do it again. Like, I had no money left, and then it was just still, how am I going to do this now? My confidence is completely knocked.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of access to, like professional trainers in that area where I was living, so, I didn't have the help that I needed. And so that was always a thing of, well, how am I going to do it? It was a massive setback.
Yeah. So how soon when you'd sold him, did you think, I'm going to give this another go? And like, how long did it take for you to see the advert for Miss Perfect?
Babs was never actually advertised. When we'd obviously done research on the horse that I bought that bolted, we found out one of the professionals that had recently had him before he was sold to me, and she was the one that had Babs, and she, when we found out and we spoke to her and kind of told her everything that happened, she basically saved the day when she had Babs. So again, it was one of those things where, my mum felt sick because she was like, how do we do this again with everything that's just happened?
So what, you went to see her? You obviously went to see...
We went to go see Babs, yeah, but she was 4 years old, very green, chestnut mare, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
That's all we knew. And she got...
didn't want a mare, didn't want a chestnut.
Yeah, and I was like, oh God, that's the worst thing to get. My mum was like, oh, I love chestnut mares. Went to go see her, went to ride her. She was Little Miss Perfect from day dot. And then it was just, okay, how do we get the funds to buy this horse?
So yeah, did you know instantly when you saw her?
Yeah, but I didn't trust my gut at this point.
No, I think once you've had that experience, it knocks everything.
Because if you ask me, I'll fall in love with any animal from the minute I see it. And that's just who I am. I just love animals, and so.
But did you feel safe when you rode her? When you got on, or were your nerves shot?
Yeah, but I was still nervous, because I was just
of course, you're bound to be after what you've been.
I'm never sitting on any horse I've never sat on before. Obviously, since this incident, and I think that's quite normal if you don't know the horse to be a bit sceptical.
I think even as a professional, it's can be nerve-wracking trying horses that you don't know.
She was, newly backed, very green, so my nerves were very much still there, and but she was amazing. She was good as gold and gave me a really nice ride, and. Yeah, I mean, I think I went and I think I maybe tried to. Oh no, I don't think I did. I think we bought her from.
There was someone else going to see her after you, wasn't there? So you had to make a quick decision.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I ended up with the most amazing little pony.
She was meant to be.
She saved everything, didn't she? She really saved the day. And even up until now, she has carried me and given me the best experience and start to my dressage journey so far.
Without Babs, you would definitely not be riding Raisin and Bonbon. No way. And
without Babs, I mean, obviously a lot of it is credit to you because you've got us this far. But just having her as a horse to do it all on, it's just been a dream.
Yeah. And you do your first shows, all of those things that can be nerve-wracking, taking your first, a young horse as well, because don't forget, they're Babs's first shows as well, she's never done anything.
Yeah.
And actually, she takes it all in her stride, doesn't she? She gives you confidence, and now, the nicest thing is actually you're at a point where you're starting to give her confidence as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just things like getting to the nationals and stuff in so early on.
Yeah.
I owe it all to her, basically.
Yeah, and you don't take it for granted. I think people, people, obviously we only ever share the successes, don't we, on social media usually, so people just assume it's been easy, but I think it's very relatable. Like most people at some point in their lives have ended up with a horse that they can't handle or they're not ready for.
Or just people not being honest.
It's missold.
Yeah. Which is what happened in my case, and so again, just going back to what we were saying before about if you're buying a horse, I mean, I think we should do a whole video on this on its own about
do's and don'ts,
how to buy your first horse or your first dressage horse or whatever, because they're a completely different animal to your ponies and your I mean, even Babs she's an Irish sport horse, and don't get me wrong, she can have her little quirky sassy moments, but more than anything you know what you're getting, and she's safe and sane, and these well-bred sport horses are you need,
they're bred for sport, not for ease.
You need help and support and someone there that's going to always be able to steer you in the right direction with them. So
cool.
That was our last question.
Well, I hope you liked the video, guys. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did, and all that shizzle.
Give it a thumbs up so we can keep paying Annie.
We miss you, Annie. Okay, cool. Right, see you guys.
Is that it? Is that where
we'll stop there and then we can start again.
Okay.
We'll do it again. Because we'll just walk.
We love chatting.